What's up, everybody? This is Podcast Gameoverse, episode 182, Thursday, June the 2024. I am Wasabi Ice Cream, joined as always by Rick.
Yo, what up, everybody? It's Rick. I'm here, you're here, we're all here to talk about video games. We got quite a bit to go over. Sorry I missed the show last week, but I got some bullshit at work I had to put up with. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. That we're talking about some games, man. So let's start. We always start. Tell the people what you've been playing.
Okay, I have played a lot.
Yes.
A lot of
Those
stuff.
of you don't know, Wasabi recently ran a 12-hour, right, Steam demo derby.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't get a chance to see it because I was busy dealing with some bullshit. But let's hear some of the highlights from you, man.
That's the beauty of it. You didn't get to see it live, but we archive it on YouTube in 4K. So
what?
You can go over there, Gameoverse.com/YouTube, and check it out. Because there's a lot of good stuff we checked out, man. Flintlock, which was, I guess a lot of people knew about this game, but I had not. I remember seeing it in the most recent, summer game shit, and just not being interested.
I heard about that one. It's a Souls-like, right?
Yeah.
Ow.
Almost a little like Bloodborne, because you have like a gun, and your gun can interrupt enemy attacks, and you can parry off of it. But there's a lot of vertical movement. You know, you can jump and dodge and shit. Yeah, it's a Souls game. I wasn't really that huge into it. I don't know. There were like two games that I really, really was fucking with.
Okay,
and, one of them was The Altars.
The Altars? I never heard of that
Altars. One. You'll know it when I start describing it. It's the one where you're a guy that's like stranded on a planet, and you get to this facility, and you're the only one that's still alive from your like crashed crew. And you have to find a way to like run this facility on your own. And it's like a big giant like ring of a facility. And it's like the planet is hostile, so you have to like figure out how to maintain the facility, get it moving, because when the sun comes up, it kills everything. So you have to like keep it moving. And so the premise is, well, you can't do it by yourself. So you have to make clones of yourself to help maintain the facility and keep things going. And it's cool as shit, because on one hand it's like a management sim. It plays a little like Death Stranding. It's like Death Stranding mixed with like open world survival. Hold on, they're like doing, it's like a war outside right now, and they're doing like bomb runs. Okay. Yeah, it's like a mix of Death Stranding mixed with open world survival, where you have to go outside and gather all these materials and set up outposts. And Jesus Christ, man, these fucking planes.
Yeah, dude, I hear it. It's so loud. Jesus.
And then the other side is inside your facility is managing all your shit, creating your food, creating your crafting a bunch of habs, and organizing shit to keep things going. And there's a part where you create your like alter selves. What you do is you go into like you go into your past, and you create a different version of yourself from like an alternate universe, and then that version of you interacts with you. So it creates this kind of like philosophical or like ethical quandary. And this game like tackles all these questions, and that's a really interesting part. Is like, because you're creating these guys only to help you manage the facility, and like for no other reason, but they are like other versions of you from like different branching parts of your life. And it's just super interesting the way they introduce all that stuff and make you have to like interact with like other versions of yourself, and you actually have to talk to them, and they all have like disposition, so like they'll like you or hate you, or but it's all you. It's like super interesting. It's super interesting.
Yeah, I did hear about that. Like the big gimmick is you don't get like other survivors that are on the facility. They're like alternate universe versions of you. So
Yeah,
like you might find one who like took a different education background. Like maybe they're like I don't know, like a biologist or something. So
yeah,
oh, this guy could handle like food and water.
yeah, yeah. Exactly, exactly.
Yeah, like stuff like that. But yeah, but the thing is that like you're right, like they're you, just different versions of you that have their own like that they live their own lives, they have their own like values and history and thoughts and feelings, and you're just like using them as like NPCs.
Yeah. So when you talk to
Yeah.
them, they're like asking you questions like what am I? Like how did I get here? Like what happens when we're done? Like what's like they ask all these questions. They're like, yeah, this is fucking interesting. Like, yeah, is this guy
Yeah.
like is this guy a clone of what he was, or is he did I actually like take him from his universe and like does he actually exist? Like there's like a lot of questions that um get asked and it's super interesting. So it made me super interested in seeing the final game. These are the same guys that made games like the this War of Mine and
Oh yeah.
other games like that. So they're good at all of these really like ethical questions, like questions of ethics and morality and shit like that. So that's kind of their specialty. So this is
That's really
another
cool.
seems like another banger from them. So
That's really cool. Okay. I'm into it.
yeah. And then the other game, it's actually three games that is probably my favorite, and that's
Yeah.
that was Cat Quest 3.
Oh, I heard about that. You were like super excited for that one coming out.
Yeah, they kept showing this game at like every event. This game comes up for like 2.5 minutes, and I'm like, dude, that looks fun. That looks awesome. They advertise it as Diablo with cats,
Yeah.
but I don't know. It's a little more than that because uh the writing is where it's like fucking super like charming and funny because all the writing is just filled with like cat puns and all the quests have it's like not even about the sometimes it is about the main quest but all the side quests are like super well written to where you just want to do all the side quests because there's all have like good writing and they're super short and it's just good and I don't know. I don't have much to say about this game other than I played this Cat Quest 3 demo. I played the demo, and then I
Yeah.
went and bought both 1, 2, and I bought all the games. It was like 20
Oh
bucks for
shit.
like it was 20 bucks for the whole trilogy, and
Okay, that's not a bad deal.
yeah, I bought them all, and then I went and played through the entirety of Cat Quest 1. So I completely finished that game, and then I started Cat Quest 2, and it's just so good, man. Like
That's good.
everything is just a cat related pun. Like the crafting cat is called Kit Kat. Um,
Oh God.
yeah, the like there's like oceans in the game, and one's called like the Catlantic Ocean. Um,
Oh God. Okay,
there was
I'm
a there
into
was
it.
a there was a part in the story where someone tries to hide and you have like a little companion with you and he goes, stop hiding, come out, stop being a pussy. And I'm like it's funny 'cause he's a pussy because he's a cat. It's
I
like
love
so
it.
funny. Like the writing is so good, man. And it's just
I
all
love it.
just it's all cat related
I
puns.
love that.
Yeah.
And it's a fun Diablo like too. Like on top of that.
Yeah, yeah. Like there's a
That's
set
good.
level, there's a set amount of equipment. So I think in like the first game there's only like 75 pieces of equipment. So, but there's chests everywhere. So you're like, all the loot is random in terms of what you find. But when you find a duplicate, it levels it up. So,
Ooh, okay.
so I'm not sure what the max level is for an equipment piece, but it incentivizes you to just keep looting shit because if you get a duplicate, it levels up and gets more powerful.
I love
And
that.
if it has debuffs, like there's an equipment set that's like crappy, and if you equip it, all your stats go down. And when that levels up, it like gets worse.
Oh
I'm
my
like,
god.
I'm like, oh, like when you find it, you're like, oh, I bet this is gonna be like the ultimate weapon if you like fully level it. But no, it just gets worse the higher level it is. It's super
That's so funny.
Um,
That's so funny. Okay, I'm into it. I'll check it out now.
yeah, these games are great, man. Like, yeah, it was. I don't know if it still is, but the whole trilogy was $20 on Steam, and the Cat Quest 3 alone is like $20. So, um, I don't know
That's
if
a
it still
steal.
is, but like these games are great, man. They're so much fun.
That's good.
They're
I'll
not
check
very
them out then.
long.
It sounds fun. It sounds
Yeah,
fun. Like, I'll check it out. Like, I want like a good short game I can knock out in like a day or
yeah,
something.
yeah. Probably take a little longer than a day, but it is like super easy to just pick up and play. You know, you do like a
That's good.
quest, and then just turn it off and come back. That's how
Okay,
I
I'm
was doing
into
it.
it.
Yeah.
I'm into it. So Alters, Cat Quest, any other highlights?
Bloodborne Kart. I played Bloodborne Kart.
Oh
Um,
yeah, they can't call it Bloodborne Kart though. That's like Nightmare Kart or
oh yeah,
something.
Nightmare Kart.
Yeah,
Um, it's really fucking good.
that's what I heard. I heard it's like legitimately like really good.
Yeah, it's like better than I thought. It's like more because there's cinematics, there's voice acting, there's boss fights. I think there's branching paths, though I didn't look at that at all. There's different characters you can unlock, different carts, and it's like a battle. It's like a combat. Uh, it's a combat racer too. So there's like the parts where it's like you're just on a track and it's like Mario Kart, but then it also turns into like Twisted Metal in certain spots too, where it's like deathmatch modes, and it's really cool. It's really awesome.
That is cool.
Um,
That's awesome, and it's free, right?
it's free to play, and not very long, but I can see you having like a ton of fun with this. You like it's because it'd make a good party game, you know.
Yeah,
Like the
I'll check it
friends,
out then.
the boys come through and you just load up some Bloodborne cart.
I'll check it out then for sure. Because like,
Yeah,
I'll explain a little bit, but yeah, I played a multiplayer game recently. That was like a fucking great highlight of my like weekend. So I want
okay,
to talk
yeah,
about that. Is there
yeah.
any
Go
other
on, talk
highlights you
about
want to
that.
go over? Okay, so Nintendo recently had a Nintendo Direct, right? And they announced they were going to be releasing some new games on their Switch Online service, the Game Boy Advance, specifically Link to the Past GBA bundled with Four Swords. You guys remember that release?
Yeah,
Now, I did not know this, but those Switch Online classics support online multiplayer, like
yeah,
all of them. I did not know that. So when I found that out, and that this Link to the Past Four Swords game was going to be going to support online multiplayer, I hit up my brothers and my cousin. And I was like, "Yo, let's get on this shit." And so that night we got on it. And my God, Four Swords is so much fucking fun, dude. We were laughing and like I was laughing so hard, like my head hurt. I was crying. It was so much fun. Because the thing is that the game has some randomly generated puzzles that require more than one person to solve. So you can play with like up to 2 to 4 people, and they require a team to solve. But the game also has some mechanics. So even though we share a pool of rupees, money that we find, the game still finds at the end of the level who collected the most rupees. So there is like kind of an incentive to be a dick to each other while you're trying to solve these puzzles, because even though it doesn't do anything, you still want to be number one. There's just a caveman thing in my brain that's like, no, I gotta win. There's a
yeah.
there's a leaderboard now. I gotta win. And that caused some insane shenanigans, dude. Just, it was so hectic and crazy, and just, it required so much precision that when it worked, it was fucking fun. It was so cool. There's some really creative bosses, some really creative like puzzles, but also there was enough room for us to be dicks to each other and cause a little bit of chaos. And it was so much fun, dude. I cannot describe it. It is such a fun experience playing that game with a team of 4 people. Because we played it twice. So first, my youngest brother couldn't get on until like way later. So I was like, okay, let's just run a game with the 3 of us then. And we played the first level with the 3 of us, the first 2 levels with the 3 of us. And we had fun. And as soon as my youngest brother got on, it was a 4-player game. Dude, the fucking insanity that ensued was, I can't describe it. It's so much goddamn fun. If you have Switch Online and you have that expansion that lets you play GBA games and you have 3 friends to play with, it's a good fucking time. Have you ever played Four Swords, like, at all?
No.
No? Dude, it's a blast. It is so much fun. It's super short. There's only like 4 or 5 levels you got to play through, and you can finish them in like half an hour each, depending on how fast you're playing. But god damn, it is such just a pure fun experience.
How does it present the online shit? Like, how do you is it does it do you just connect each other and it just does, like, it connects all the controllers into one?
Yeah, so how it works is, we haven't played with any other games. We just did it with the GBA, and it was just for Four Swords. So how it works is you open up the Switch Online like app for that game, right? So in this case, GBA. So you open up Game Boy Advance Switch Online, and then on the left side, there's an option to create a group. And so you do that with your friends, and once you do that, the host controls what game we're playing. So they control that menu, which game we're going to play.
Oh.
And then once they click on that game and load it up, it loads up for everybody. And you would just go, as the host, you would just go into the game and start the multiplayer version of it. So the game still has the graphics and stuff where it's like, oh, connecting link cables, right?
Yeah.
But really, you're online. And it just works like that from there. So you have to go into the Switch Online app, set up an online lobby first, and then you boot the game up, and the game just thinks you're connected to a link cable.
Okay.
Yeah, and it works pretty well. Like, I was surprised how well it worked. Like, at first, there was a lot of lag that was really annoying. But that's because my brother was in a really shitty network, so he moved spots and was able to get a better connection. It ran a lot smoother after that. And I'm not gonna lie, it was a pain in the ass figuring it out because we could not figure it out initially. We had to like look it up. But also, we're kind of dumb when we're together, so it makes sense that happened. But it's a lot of fun. And after we finished it, I want to go back and replay it because my youngest brother couldn't play with us yesterday when we finished it. So I want to go back and play it so he can get finish up those levels too. And it's legit like worth playing through it. If you played it with like 2 people, 3 people, and then go to play with 4 people, it's a different experience like every time. Like, legitimately adding that extra person just exponentially increases like the fun in the game.
Yeah, I always wanted to play this, but never had.
Yeah,
it was always like cumbersome. And I remember this came out, and there was another one. There was like a Monster Hunter one on 3DS that I never got to play.
Monster Hunter one.
Yeah, Triforce Heroes. Is that what it was called? Triforce Heroes?
Oh, I heard about that one. Yeah. I never played that one. My cousin did, and he said it was garbage compared to like Four Swords.
Okay.
Junior, what are you doing? My kid's like dumping his bottle on the floor. What are you doing, kid? No, so like it's a lot of fun, dude. I was having a blast with it. And so before this, I had played the I don't know if you remember, but on the 3DS back in the day, there was that remaster of Four Swords. Remember that came out on the 3DS?
No.
No? Okay, so For Zelda's, I think it was like an anniversary thing. They released a special port of Four Swords from the GBA on the DSi shop. So it was available on DSi and 3DS. And it was the same version that we got in the GBA. Only difference is it didn't have a Link to the Past included. And it had a single player mode, so you can play by yourself. And it added like 4 more levels that are based on past Zelda titles. Now, remember, the original release only had like 4 levels, so it basically doubled the level count.
Yeah.
And I played that version with my cousin way back in the day when that came out. But at the time, it was like super early in the 3DS life. It was like 2011, 2012. So only early adopters really had the chance to like get into it. And him and I like played the shit out of it, just the two of us. The problem with that version is that it only supported like local multiplayer, which was really, and it was only available for a limited time. It was only available for like a month or something. So if you didn't get it in that month, you were SOL. That's fucking stupid.
In true Nintendo fashion.
Yeah. They re-released it later in 2014 for, what was it? To celebrate, what were they celebrating coming out? I think they were celebrating the Link to the Past sequel on the 3DS. So they re-released it on that for that, but it was the same game that we got back in like 2010, 2011, or 2011, 2012. That version I want to see come back because I want those extra levels. That's not the version we got here. Plus, there was like Four Swords Adventures, right? The sequel on GameCube that was like impossible to play because you needed not just the game on GameCube, but you also needed that like GameCube connector. And you needed like 4 Game Boy Advances and cables for each one.
Yeah. That one.
And I think every person had to have a copy of like Four Swords too. It was fucking stupid.
That one's a fucking mess. Well, because it used both screens. It was like the first like dual screen. Not the first, because a lot of those Game Boy Advance games did that. But you would like do shit on the big screen on the GameCube, and then it would like it would like zoom in on the GBA on like a different like Minish Cap style.
Yeah, I heard about that. Like that one isn't available on anything else but GameCube, so you need original hardware to play that one. I would love to try that one. I don't know if it's ever going to happen, but I would love to try it. What was I going to say? Yeah, so that was fun. I played the shit out of that. Like, we just finished it last night. We were having just a fucking great time. I also played a lot of Diablo IV. I just hit Torment 4 and I'm having a blast with it. It is so much fun, dude. I'm having so much fun with this game.
Yeah, I'm in game ready, man. I've hit level 100 with my with my rogue. I've maxed out my equipment. Not maxed out, but my equipment is all I'm all optimized, man. I'm in game ready. So I need a partner to go through some of these bosses. Because I don't think you can solo like Ultra Dorio or Endario, wherever the fuck their names are. Like,
I'll hit you up because I just hit Torment 4. So I'm like level 70 something.
Yeah.
So I'm a ways away from 100.
It's just because they were doing that. They were doing the event where it was like triple XP or some shit. And so
all those loot goblins. So yeah.
I'm like, I'm hitting 100 with this or never.
Yeah, no, I'm having a blast with it, dude. I'm playing through with the druid right now, just trample sliding druid, and it's so much fun. It's so much fun. Just the insanity of like running through enemies as like a bear and then causing like a fucking those like a landslide behind me. Yeah. And that landslide triggering a fucking storm and a hurricane. It's like, dude, nothing like it. It's so much fun.
Yeah. The way I have my rogue build, it's a bow rogue, so I use an attack called Barrage, which just sends arrows flying in every direction, and then those arrows can ricochet off of shit. So they're like going through enemies and bouncing off enemies, and then there's like a random chance that it triggers like an arrow rain, so arrows fall out the sky randomly, and it's just fucking chaos, just arrows all over the place.
I love that.
Shit
That's what I like
blowing
about
up.
Diablo, man. It lets you just, by the time you hit the end, like when you optimize your loadout and your build, you can do some crazy shit, and shit dies so good in that game. Like,
Yeah,
it feels really good to kill shit. It
yeah,
feels so good. Like I could play that game forever, man. And if I get bored with it, I'm just gonna switch my class up. I don't have to do that. Just like I could just switch like my loadout. Just try a different combination of armor and like equipment, and I can just have a different game
yeah.
for the
It
same
doesn't make it
character. It's
easy to do
crazy.
that though. It should have like loadout slots where you can just
It
have
doesn't.
like,
Yeah.
yeah,
And it pisses me off because like this is something Diablo 3 got right. And I know why we can't do it now because people bitch about Diablo 3 being too simple, but by doing that, by making like by making it more simple, the game was able to have an easier loadout because you literally could just like go to your like you can go to your chest and you can have different loadouts like ready,
yeah,
not just with different armor and equipment, but different stat allocations too.
yeah,
So, and you could just select that. So if you wanted to be like, oh, here's my loadout for like running solo rifts. Here's my support loadout for the same character. And there was a lot of fun in that. And the game like limited you, so you couldn't do it when you're in the middle of like a dungeon, right? You couldn't just leave the dungeon to go switch your gear out. You couldn't change your equipment once you started a rift. So the game like found ways so you couldn't abuse it. And the fact that it's not in this game pisses me off. And I know the reason why is because a bunch of people bitched and moaned about the progression being too simplified. And so Blizzard took it the opposite direction. Okay, we'll make it more complicated. We'll add some like skill trees now, and you have to like pay gold and resources to reset your shit.
yeah.
And I hate that. I hate that.
There is a new drop, I think. I don't know if it's new, but there's a drop you can get. I've only found 2 in my entire playing.
Yeah,
But
I know what you're talking about. I only got 1.
Yeah, it resets your Paragon tree. Or I think it resets
Yeah,
everything.
It resets everything, which is cool to have, but that's like it's a limited item. Like it's a resource you like farm for still, and it pisses me off. And that's why I liked about Diablo 3 is you can literally have different loadouts like ready. So you're like, okay, so I'm gonna run some rifts by myself tonight. I'm gonna run this loadout. Oh, my buddy's gonna get on. I'll run my support loadout so we can do this together.
Yeah.
And I love that, and I hate that that's not a thing anymore. Oh well, maybe it'll be another update. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe they'll get there. Maybe they'll get there. You have to see the issue now with the because every time I bring up that they need a loot filter, you're like, oh no, it's just you just you just pick up everything and then you sell it. It's like, no, dude. There needs to be a fucking loot filter because I don't know if you've been in any parties where they're just like killing the Helltide queens over and over again.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. That's
dude,
like
once you get to the end game, everything is trash unless it has those like stars on it where it's like this is a perfect roll, this is a perfect roll. Everything is trash unless it's that. So unless it has that, I do not want to see it. I do not want to pick it up. I don't give a fuck. I just want to filter everything out.
What bums me out is that you can level up your aspect by fighting us, even if it's not like a perfect like roll, right, for the complementary stats.
Yeah.
If the aspect is better, it's still in your interest to like scrap it, which is why
it should also let me filter that shit too. It should be like, hey, you don't have this aspect yet, because you can't tell until you pick it up and then bring it all the way to the blacksmith, and then you just don't know. It's just a waste of time. I just want to only pick up shit that matters. I just want to only see shit that matters.
Yeah, I just see that it hasn't become too much of an issue for me, but I am at a point where I'm like, oh, this is gonna be an issue, like really soon.
Yeah, and then
once I'm more optimized and I'm wiping out those like Helltide queens like super easily, then it's gonna be an issue.
Yeah, and then because I play on a controller, and so it's impossible to just pick up the thing. Once there's like 1,000 items on the ground, it's impossible to pick up the one thing that you actually want to pick up without having the, because I don't know how it prioritizes. Like you can't just, because if you're playing like Grim Dawn, you can use the right stick to kind of menu through
Oh
some of
yeah,
the pickups,
cycle between
but
it.
you
Yeah, yeah,
cannot do
yeah.
that in this game. So you just have to pick everything up until it
Oh
gives you the one
really?
you want. Yeah, yeah.
I haven't tried that yet because it's on like Xbox. So I wanted to try it so I could like play it here because right now I have it on PC. Hey, Junior, no, don't play with that. I have it on PC, but I can't play it when I have my son with me, obviously, because I can't just set up my computer. So my plan was to run it on my Xbox, but I haven't really tried it yet. So, but the fact that
Yeah.
like I can't cycle through like loot easily is really
But
annoying.
yeah, because I'm at where I'm at now, I've maxed out, I've hit the theoretical limits for like, I've maxed out my resistances, maxed out my armor, uh, and so the stuff I'm looking for now is just like perfect items. That's all I like. That's all I want.
Yeah,
So
you're trying to like optimize like what you already have. Like you already know the direction you're going. You just need to like
yeah,
optimize it now.
yeah.
Like you
So
have the aspects you want. You have the level. You're already at max level. You have the skill tree maxed out
yeah,
to where you want it to be at. You just need to like optimize the actual value of like your equipment.
yeah,
Yeah, that's when the game gets the least fun for me, honestly, because you stop seeing those like huge like boosts in damage, and it
yeah.
becomes like mid maxing,
I'm kind of done
like
with
what's
it.
already there.
The only thing I want to do is just finish the seasonal. I'm on the last page of that seasonal quest thing.
Oh, the season
Um,
journey, yeah,
yeah, and that's all I really want to do. Is just like, oh, came this far, I might as well just do the missions that it gives you, and then
yeah,
call it quits.
yeah.
Cause yeah, I never understand the people that play like fucking Destiny, where people who just keep playing it after they maxed out their shit and done all the raids. Like, because you definitely run out of content. Like at that point, it's just like, yeah, I'm gonna do it again, but on a different, on my other like I just don't want to do shit. I never do multiple characters. I just do the content, and I'm done.
See, I like seeing the multiple characters. So if I had the time, I would legit like max out the season with like one character. And I was
Yeah,
like, cool. I did it as a druid. Let's see what it's like as a necromancer. And let's see what it's like as a barbarian. And let's see what it's like as, these other
yeah.
classes.
I do. I
I would
wait for the
absolutely
next.
do that.
I wait for the next season, and then the next season I would try. Like next season, I'm gonna try barbarian, and then I'll do new content as a new class.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Hopefully by next season, the new expansion should be out, right?
yeah,
So
yeah. They're
I want to
doing.
try that.
I know they're gonna be talking about it soon.
Yeah.
So they put out
They
the
announced
mid-season patch.
yeah, they announced a new class, the what's the spirit bearer, something like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Spirit something.
Oh, they put pets. They shadow
Yeah,
updated pets into the game too.
yeah, which is great. Because like Diablo 3 had pets, and all they did, they were there for bragging rights, but also they picked up like gold and shit. So
Yeah,
it's great to have that. And the new class looks pretty dope. Like I haven't seen any combat or gameplay for it yet, but it's got this like Mesoamerican like inspiration to it, which is really cool. Like I haven't seen that yet. And it looks like some like Aztec or Mayan. Definitely some like Mesoamerican thing. So I'm into it.
yeah,
And it looks like its main weapon is like a double-bladed like glaive or something, or a double-bladed sword. So that looks cool.
yeah. It's a new class too, entirely new.
Yeah, totally
So
new, entirely new class. Yeah, I would have been happy if they brought back like older classes, right? I know a lot of people want the Crusader to come back. A lot of people want
yeah.
Paladin to come back. I was hoping to get the what was it, the Blood Knight from Immortal,
Oh
because
yeah,
that looks really cool. I would have loved to see that. But no, they went out and like, oh, that's a totally new class we haven't seen yet. Like I'm into it. Like
yeah.
people were upset because they wanted their older classes back, but I'm like, no, I'm into this. So we'll see when that comes out. Um, I haven't bought the expansion pass yet. I don't know if I'm gonna pre-order it. Even though there's some nice pre-order incentives, I think I'm gonna wait until we get closer to release and just pick it up or something.
Yeah, I might wait for. I want to try to switch to the Steam version.
Yeah.
If there's a discount on like everything that makes sense, because you have
Yeah.
to buy the DLC and it's like another like $30 or something. So
Yeah, like 40, 50, something like that.
yeah, if it's on Steam and there's a discount to where it makes sense, I'm gonna do that because then I can play it on like Steam. It's Steam Deck verified and shit. So
Yeah.
I would rather play it that way.
Yeah, and that makes perfect sense. Like, I just have it on BattleNet on my PC, so I've been playing it on
Yeah.
that. And I want to play it on my Xbox too, but I know once the expansion comes, I gotta fucking buy the expansion again, which is gonna be a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
So I'll probably stop playing on Xbox like once the expansion comes out, if I ever start playing on Xbox. That's so goddamn annoying, dude. Like, I already own the game. Like, why does it matter like what system I'm playing it on? Like,
Yeah. Well, the PC version, the Xbox version is the BattleNet version. Well, because it's on Game Pass, so that version just launches BattleNet.
right, but the content isn't shared. Like, I looked it up. If I want to buy it on if I buy the expansion on BattleNet, I won't have it on Xbox, which is really fucking stupid.
I don't know.
We'll see if we'll see if they update it like closer to release, but as for now, like it's not looking like that's a possibility.
So I know they've been doing that like Xbox Play Anywhere shit. So like all the Xbox shit that I bought on console is still on the PC. I just have all that shit.
Yeah, but not every game supports that, which is super annoying.
Huh.
Yeah, okay. It's really weird how like fractured the ecosystem is. But yeah, no, that's the Diablo hour. Like
Yeah.
I can't wait to finish the season up, and if there's still time, I want to run a Necromancer after. But we'll see. I love the Necromancer. Fun fact: people are upset. They want Crusader because I guess the Necromancer is the only class right now that can use a shield, and I didn't realize that, but that's true.
Why use a shield when you can have 2 swords?
Fair.
4 swords. Doesn't the barbarian have like 3 or 4?
I can't remember. Yeah, you can equip multiple weapons of the barbarian, and each skill like uses a different weapon.
Yeah.
So you can like mix and match it. Yeah.
But that's the thing. So I only use the bow for my rogue, and then on my swords, you can still put shit on there that buffs your bow shit. So my swords are just like 2 additional bow buffs. It's fucking awesome.
Oh yeah. That's cool. And the buffs are like active the entire time too. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay. I might try a rogue. That sounds like fun. The discussion topics. So I was super into this video right here when filmmakers actually understand the gameplay.
Yeah.
This guy, check him out. It's a great video. He goes into what he believes makes a good video game adaptation. And he hit on a lot of points that like I've hit on before. But he brings up a new word I've never heard before called Qualia, which is basically like a fancy word for the vibe, right? The vibe you get from a game, or the feelings and emotions and impact that specific medium, exhibits on you. And he hits on a lot of points that I liked, where he talks about the best video game adaptations don't just take that story one-to-one, but they recreate the qualia of a game. But you disagreed with the video a little bit, right?
I disagree with the entire premise.
What? Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Explain yourself.
Okay. So, yeah, I think the entire premise of this is flawed, because what he's saying is, in order to make a good video game adaptation, The adaptation has to uh it has to have the qualia of video games,
Yeah, or that
right?
specific game. Yeah.
Um,
And he gives a ton of examples. Like he describes, and the thing about quality is that it's very subjective, right? Like let's get that out of the way first.
that's the problem.
Um,
That's the
it's
flaw in this
very
entire thing.
subjective.
That's the flaw
It's
in this
very
entire thing.
subjective. Yeah. It's very subjective. And the quality I feel from a game might be different from the quality someone else has from a game, right? Like, but there's some merit to it because you can't just translate the video game story 1-to-1 and expect to elicit the same like feelings you get from playing the game. You can try to recreate as best as you can, but you can't elicit those same emotions, which is why it's so interesting. Because like, if you look at some of the best games of all time, not just like best rated, like highest selling games, it's games like Minecraft, Tetris, Call of Duty, games that aren't really known for their story mode. So if you wanted to adapt that, you have to look at more than just the story of it. And I think that's the point he's trying to get to. And he's right, it is very subjective. You know, what's one person plays a game for is from someone else. I am very not anti-story, but story isn't the most important thing in a game for me, whereas it might be the most important thing in a game for somebody else. So I could see the flaw in it where if you're trying to elicit the quality of a game, but quality itself is so subjective, that does make it very tricky. But he does give some really good examples, right, of like how Fallout is able to do that.
No, I don't.
Granted,
I
the
don't. I
examples are
disagree.
subjective to him. The examples subjective to him,
Yeah,
and it might
yeah.
not have been the intent, but I could see where he's going with this. And I think that's something that we need to look at when it comes to adapting a video game. We have to look at more than just the story of it. We have to look at like what feelings and emotions that those games elicit when you play them, and translate that more than just a story. And he gives a great example with like Last of Us, because Last of Us, the show, just copied the game beat for beat, but the quality of the game was trying to be a movie, so they were able to do that more easily. Like, there's a lot there that I agree with. I could see where you disagree with some of the subjective parts, but there's a lot there I understand and I agree with.
No, I disagree with all of it.
Okay, let's hear it. Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
All of it, I disagree with because
Okay, let's hear it.
he's like the entire time it felt like he was picking and choosing the parts he liked and was trying to explain why it was good. Where it reminds me of whenever Kendrick Lamar was dropping tracks and everyone was picking it apart and was like, "Oh, see when he talked about the moon here, you know, it was a reference to where you know, he was like showing his ass to the industry, and that's what he meant by moon." And it's like, no, motherfucker, he just said moon, and you want to like connect it to shit that doesn't exist. And that's what it felt like he was doing with like, oh yeah, when that Brotherhood of Steel guy ran into that Yao Guai and fucking got his ass whooped. It's because he was severely underleveled. You've been there, and it's like, no, man, like that's not at all. Like maybe that's what you again. It's entirely subjective, but again, he's like picking the parts he likes about it and is like trying to explain it like it's like it was like that is what's happening rather than he just likes it. Like I completely disagree with that's why it's like good, because in my opinion a video game in my opinion there's no like the quality of a video game can only exist in a video game. There's no if you're doing a video game properly, if you're taking advantage of why video games are unique, there's not much of that can be translated into another medium.
Right.
That's why The Last of Us, you can do The Last of Us because it's already trying to be a fucking movie. It's not a good video game because
Like objectively, yeah.
because it's a movie. Like God of War Ragnarok, I appreciate everything it does cinematically, but I did not enjoy it as a video game.
Yeah.
So, and that's why shit like you mentioned like Minecraft and Tetris. Those are incredible fucking video games because
Yeah.
I don't know how you would translate the parts that make that a good video game. I don't know how you would translate that to any other medium. It's like Outer Wilds almost like you could play that game and you immediately understand that there's no fucking way you could translate. You would lose everything it means.
Yeah.
You would lose it in its entirety. You would lose all of it if you try to make it anything else. Like Tunic is the
Right.
same way.
Right. And I'm not saying like every video game's adaptable with this like mentality, but I liked his idea of trying to translate like the qualia of a game more than the beat for beat storyline. And again, because it's so subjective, you're right. You can't one to one translate everything that you experience in a game to a medium like movies or shows. Um, like a perfect example, if they were to make a Diablo movie, right, and they try to just copy the story beats for it, I, as a Diablo player, would not be interested because I don't give a fuck about the story in Diablo. So I wouldn't know how you translate that. But I like this idea of that when you try to find a good adaptation, that being the case. And you know, we talked a lot about Fallout nailing a lot of that. You know, it gets the superficial details right, but it also replicates a lot of the feeling you get when you play through Fallout. Like he mentions it in the video, but that comment that the ghoul makes, you know, about getting sidetracked every goddamn thing, is like that's like peak Fallout experience, right? Like everyone's experienced that.
Yeah,
Um,
but he goes to say that he goes on to say, I don't feel like it's making me feel like it feels when I play Fallout. I didn't get that. That's not why I liked the show. I like the show because yeah, the people that made it understand like the games, but it's not that it's the quality. It's not that it's making me feel like oh man, yeah, this is what it feels like to play Fallout. It's like they just they did their homework. I don't know how to explain it.
well, that's the thing, though.
It's like the Sonic the Hedgehog movie. Like the guys that made the Sonic the Hedgehog movie understand multiple layers of Sonic. They're making they're it's not because Sonic is not how do you make a fucking Sonic movie but without like understanding the lore of Sonic, you know? Or like even like the Mario movie. He tries to say that he tries to slide in that the Mario movie is somehow not doing this, but Fallout is.
Yeah, that's a point I disagreed with a lot too when he was
But
bringing that up.
then
I was like, okay,
also
I would argue the Mario movie like did a lot to
also
elicit
shit
the quality of Mario.
like Arcane is League of Legends. You don't that none there's zero qualia of League of Legends in Arcane. All right, people who do not fuck with League of Legends fuck with Arcane, and it has nothing to do with oh my god, this is what it feels like. If you actually made a show with oh this is what it feels like to play League of Legends, you would fucking it would be like racial slurs. I don't think League of Legends is that, but it would be like it would be terrible.
I
There's no
see
one.
what you mean, and like that's the thing he gets into. Like he doesn't argue that like I think he makes the point too that just because something doesn't like elicit the qualia of a game doesn't mean that it's not a good product. Um, and that's something to think of too. But when you want to get people who like the games, it's important to understand that qualia. And it's not to say that like anything that you have to elicit everything, right? Like you said, people play League of Legends for different reasons. I'm sure there's people who like League of Legends for the lore, but you're not gonna elicit the quality of it by doing that. Like you said, like if you want to elicit that, it's gonna be a lot of like toxicity and racial slurs.
Yeah,
You said jokingly, but I agree with you on it.
I just feel like his whole point is that if films are going to adapt video games, then they should try to adapt the interactivity of video games in film. But I feel like that is
Not the
not at all.
interactivity. not the interactivity, but the qualia, right? The emotions and feelings that it elicits.
I just disagree. I feel like there's not, because you don't. Film has a unique. Film is unique for a certain thing, just like video games are unique at a certain thing. Like, I feel like video games should take advantage of what makes them unique, and so should like film. They should not try to be each other or try to elicit the same feelings. Like, I don't, just the same way I don't want to play a video game and just feel like I'm watching a movie. I feel like that completely that completely misses the point of what it is to be a video game. And I feel like a film should take advantage of what is unique to film, and when it tries to, I don't know, when it tries to be a video game, it just, or adapt what it feels like to be a video game, it just doesn't.
So I'm not arguing that. I don't want movies to feel more like games. I don't want games to feel more like movies. But what I do want is those adaptations. I guess the roundabout way of like analyzing it is I want those adaptations to feel more faithful to the material, not just like in lore and story, but like what it feels like to enjoy that piece of media. And I think that's what I liked about Fallout a lot, because it wasn't just a good story, because it was, but it felt like Fallout. Like I felt like I could have played this story as a game. Like if they had made Fallout 5 and it just copied the story of the show, I think I'd be fine with that. And that's something that I think is really is worth pointing out to, is there's more to it. You take that medium, you know, what's good at, what it's known for, and try to adapt that into another one as best as you can. But keep in mind like what's there to adapt. Like again, like you can't adapt a game 1-to-1 to a show, but you can adapt the feelings of playing that game to the show, or like at least a lot of the emotions it elicits. Like a lot of the comments in the show are directly stuff I feel playing the game, right? Like again, some of it's probably grasping at straws there, but that comment of that Brother to Steel guy, like, oh man, I suck with a scope. I suck without a scope. Like I feel the same way. I just replayed Fallout 4, and the first thing I do is put a scope on my pistols. I can't hit shit without it. Like little things like that are more than just like references, but they're clear understandings of like the lore and world of the mechanics of the game adapted into something else that's more feasible to that medium. Again, it's probably a lot of grasping at straws here to like justify it, but I like the direction he's going in here. Where you want to elicit those same feelings. You can't do it 1-to-1, so you adapt it as best as you can to this medium in a way that medium's strong suit. So for example, like if I were to adapt a Diablo movie, I personally wouldn't have fun watching it if it was like an adaptation of like the storyline that I never paid attention to. But if there were some story elements there of like the main character maybe going on a quest to find like an item that completely buffs him up, I could see that appealing to me as someone who plays Diablo for the loot, trying to get that one piece of loot to completely change around my build.
Well, even for
I could
Diablo,
see that working.
The cinematics Blizzard does for Diablo are fucking incredible.
Right, but I don't pay attention to them. You think I remember all of them? You think I might like hundreds of hours?
Those shits are fucking. Dude, if they made a movie just of those cinematics, I'd be like, yeah, I'm fucking watching this.
I could not tell you what happened in the story for Diablo 4. I could not tell you.
Did you skip all the cutscenes?
No, I watched them. I remember it, dude.
Okay.
I have so many hours in that game, dude. The story is like
but some people
maybe 10% of my time.
Like, I'm not gonna sit here and say like the story that's there is incredible, but at least their like cinematic version of what's happening is just mind blowing. It's mind blowing. Like I stopped everything I'm doing and just pay close attention to those scenes because it's so incredible. Like that's one thing that Blizzard is incredible at. But they always nail their cinematics. But
It's
don't know
funny you
when
bring that up because like I remember playing it and like I watched it, but I was like more waiting for it to stop so I could like,
what,
yeah.
dude,
Like
the
I
one where
watched it.
like Lilith,
I
like the
remember,
war
I
on Lilith.
remember, I remember the minor story beats, right? Like I remember Lilith showing up. I remember, that one guy like sacrificing himself to save everybody. I remember that girl losing her arm and then fucking off at the end of the game. But I
No,
couldn't
there's
tell
like
you
the
like I couldn't
one.
tell you anyone's names. I couldn't tell you the reason everything was happening. I couldn't tell you most of that, dude.
Not that's like fine, but like there's one scene in particular. It was like a 12-minute scene where it was like they were like war. It was like fucking 300, and then like it was fucking incredible because everyone dies, and you're like, holy shit, this is
I don't remember
bonkers.
that at all. I
How do you
don't remember
not
that at
remember
all.
that? It was the most
I just
incredible
don't.
fucking.
I don't remember that.
Anyway, we're getting sidetracked here.
They're getting
Um,
sidetracked, but yeah, I liked what the dude was talking about because it's something I feel needs to be taken into account. I'm not saying to adapt the game one for one here, but figure out
I
what
think
people like about the game and make sure to include that. Is
I
I
think
think
he's
really
just like
important.
picking and choosing. I feel like he's just picking and choosing shit he likes and going, oh, I like this, and therefore it's like it's a good adaptation, and it's because the qualia is there. Or he's just like picking and choosing. Like it's all references. It's all just references. Me personally, I felt nothing. I felt nothing in terms of, oh yeah, this is what it feels like when I play. I was like, oh yeah, that's it's fucking yeah. This guy played. They know they did their research on Fallout, and now they're making a reference to how the weapons are shit, and they're making a reference to how when Tim Kaine was talking about a part in the episode where the Lucy went out into the vault and she ran into that like dweller guy,
Yeah.
and Tim Kaine, who's like the creator of like the original Fallout, was like, oh, the actor, he must have played the original Fallouts because he's doing the mannerisms and everything of an original Fallout game. It's crazy, but they never said anything. And I'm like, yeah, it's just full of fucking references. Like, if that's what he thought was happening, then yeah, it was a reference. But this guy wants to connect it and go, oh, it's qualia. It makes you feel. And you scroll down in the comments, and then everyone's like, yeah, you're fucking when I had the encounter with the guy who drank all the water, it was like, oh, this is a side quest NPC, and it's like, yeah, everyone's gonna like pick and choose the shit they like and like be like, oh yeah. When it's just you're just picking and choosing shit.
Well, the same logic, we talked about Fallout. You were mentioning how you felt without even knowing Qualia was a thing, right? How to you, Fallout is a lot of like, the downtime, the empty space between like each area, and you felt the show didn't replicate that. That was a complaint you had when we started watching the show, remember? And
yeah, because
so
it's something
you could
you can
make the
do
argument,
in a video game that you can't do in
yeah,
a
and
show.
you can make the argument too that that's like part of your qualia to Fallout is like that downtime, that open space between like one settlement or one story beat to the next. And a complaint to you is they didn't replicate that in the show. Like that's the point I'm trying to get to. Is like qualia is very subjective.
No, I'm not saying qualia doesn't exist. I'm saying what he's saying he likes about the thing is he's picking and choosing, but because he's saying that Fallout is, but Mario's not, or these other things he showed is not. And I'm like, no, the difference is these guys understand. These guys did their research. They're not just like trying to cash in on I feel like there's a line that they just don't want to say is happening here. Is that yeah, these guys actually cared about. Obviously, these guys understand Fallout, whereas whoever made the Halo show doesn't understand fucking Halo. They're just trying to cash in on a franchise called Halo. But I don't think it has anything to do with the qualia, is what I'm saying. It has nothing to do with the qualia.
Well, here's the thing. Because it's subjective, you can make the argument that whether you know it or not, like whether you go in with the expectation to adapt the qualia of a game, whether you know what qualia even is when you go into it, you can make the argument you're like subconsciously doing that. Like again, before we even knew what qualia was, you were like, to me, Fallout's like these big open spaces. They didn't have that, and that's like a detriment to the show. So you can make the argument whether like the creators were intending to do it or not, because of the subjective nature of qualia. It's almost like a subconscious thing too. Like whether you mean to adapt the quality of it or not, you could still do it. And because of how subjective it is, it's really tricky to like pinpoint like line for line. This is qualia. This is a reference. But it's something that like I feel like I know it when I see it. And I think that's the big difference here. You say like the difference of these characters, these people care about the property they're adapting. Well, if they care about the property, whether they mean to do it or not, consciously or subconsciously, adapting the qualia is probably a factor in it, whether they know it or not. That's the argument I would make.
But then you can't like you can't give them credit. It's like the Kendrick Lamar thing I was saying, where this guy's just writing shit, and everyone, if you go on Genius, there's like fucking paragraphs on every fucking line talking about how many references it is in this fucking one sentence that he wrote down. And I'm like, does Kendrick know that that's what he meant when he wrote that? Or are you guys just fucking attributing this shit to something that's like not, that they didn't even know they were doing? That's my thing is,
right.
Like you can do that, but I don't think that's actually, I don't think that's like a meaningful thing.
Well, so hear me out then, right? Like people are saying like, oh, that water guy's like a quest NPC, and people say, oh, that feels like old Fallout. Like this guy like must have played old Fallout to make that character. Let's take this to the drawing board, right? Let's say your job is to adapt Fallout. You do a lot of research on the Fallout like brand. The game's known for like kooky characters, so you write this like water guy who's like really weird and funny, and the players attribute that to, oh, he's a quest NPC. Whether you meant to write him as like, oh, if this is a game, he'd be a quest NPC or not, doing your research and noticing like, oh, Fallout has a lot of interesting one-off characters, let's include that in our adaptation, and the fan base putting that down as, oh, that's a quest NPC, whether you meant to write it like that or not, is irrelevant, because you adapted that portion of the quality of Fallout, whether you intended to or not. The fans noticed it. At least that's how I look at it. What's so interesting with it, and again, it's kind of a cop-out, because I keep saying it's such a subjective thing, and it's really hard to argue something that's so subjective. But whether you know it or not, adapting the quality, I think, can be something valuable to a piece of media that you're adapting, whether you know you're doing it or not. And someone who does their homework, right, who cares about the brand, who cares about the property, is going to adapt that quality whether they know it or not. At least that's what I think. Did they go in like, oh, water guy is going to be an NPC, but that's just for the fans to notice? Or do they go in like, Fallout has a lot of fun, kooky characters, let's write a fun, kooky character, and the fans are like, oh, that's an NPC. That's a quest NPC. Like, that's irrelevant. The point is that we got what we wanted, right? That's how I look at it. Whether it was on purpose or not, we got what we wanted out of it.
Yeah, but when this guy goes, he's trying to attribute it to a specific thing. I don't think that's what's happening, and especially when he says, "Oh, see, these are just references," but Fallout is like more than that. It's like, it's not though. It's not. It's the same shit. You just like it.
Yeah, that's something I did disagree with. It's like, okay, whether it's a reference or not is like irrelevant. If it elicits that emotion, is all that matters. Yeah. And I think someone can tell if a reference is like an empty reference versus like a thoughtful reference. And I think that's the distinction you should have made. It's like, this is like, not every reference is qualia, but it can be, at least from my interpretation of it, from what he was showing off. And it's important to make the distinction, like what's like a meaningful reference and what's empty reference. And that's something I feel is really important when it comes to adapting this, and that is included, I think, with adapting like the feeling of these properties. It's something that I thought warranted further discussion. I'm glad we're talking about it now, because you did bring up some points that like I felt, but also points I didn't consider. But I think it is whether you want it or not. I think it is something that can be valuable and should be looked into when adapting something to another medium.
Yeah.
And he gives more than just video game examples, right? Like he gives like the Avengers stuff. He's like, one of the reasons it's so popular is because it replicates the feeling of reading a comic. You know, all the crazy, bombastic characters and the interact. Well, so
here's just crazy action movies. People love action movies. That's all it is.
Well, here's the thing, though. And here he makes a point that I liked, right? The feeling of reading a comic is like, you follow this character and he goes on different adventures, maybe interacts with other characters, you read those characters' adventures, and when they come together, you have a better understanding of it. That is a huge part of comic. That's why I can't get into comics now, because everything's so fucking connected. I don't know where to start now with modern comics. And I would argue that, like, hey, replicating that into a larger cinematic universe can be an example of, like, Qualia. That is one part of reading comics, that you're not just reading a Spider-Man book story, you're reading the bigger picture of an entire narrative surrounding Marvel. Bugger, what are you crying for? And that's something I feel that like is really important distinction to make. And that's why like I would argue these Marvel movies are more popular than like what we got like 10, 15 years ago. At least that's how I look at it.
No, I disagree.
Again, it's hard to argue because it's very subjective, but
I feel like they just found a way to just market. I feel like it's marketing. I feel like they were not thinking, oh yeah, this is what made comics successful. No one gives a fuck. I'm sorry, people give a fuck about comics, but when you're really like from a marketing perspective, you're not going in thinking, oh yeah, we're gonna fucking go do comics. Or even if they weren't thinking it, it's like not. I feel like that is not the thing. So people like big fucking action movies. They like tie-ins. They like franchises, and like when it all comes together, it just makes it a bigger thing. They basically just made like a series of like it's like a television series where you have all these episodes and it eventually comes together. Except they do it in movie form and it's a lot bigger.
Right, but if you remember when that happened, so we're getting a little tangent here, but I'll drop us in a little nugget here. When that happened, no one thought it was going to be successful because comic book movies didn't have exactly the best track record at the time. And when Iron Man came out, they signed Robert Downey Jr. to like a multi-decade deal, like from the start. They're like, hey, you are Iron Man, and the plan is to do multiple Iron Man movies, an Avenger movie. That was the plan from the start. And they got a lot of criticism for it because they're like, hey, comic book movies didn't do so great previously, and they didn't have the best track record. Signing someone up for like a multi-decade deal like that is fucking crazy. But it worked out. And a big part of it is because like I'll argue that is an appeal of comics, right? Is like reading these stories. And when you read a Spider-Man story and Iron Man shows up, that's going to be something for a much bigger story later. Or other way around. Like if you're reading an Iron Man story and Spider-Man shows up, that's going to be something that's going to be coming later down the line, something much bigger. And I feel like that is something that Marvel, the MCU, doesn't get credit for. That is a very important part of comics that the MCU adapted. Now people see it as like a winning formula, right? People are like, oh, every movie needs to have a connected universe. But keep in mind, nobody thought it would work initially. It wasn't this like marketing thing because everyone thought it was like a dumb idea until it worked, and then everyone wanted to do it and they fucked it up. So I will argue having that foresight, understanding this is what makes comics interesting is something we can translate to a movie franchise, I will argue is like more than just a dumb action movie. It is an aspect of comics that was translated pretty well to a movie form. At least that's my interpretation of it. And it's something I never thought about is like the stuff that does go into it, right? It's more than just adapting the story beats one for one. It is like understanding like the feel, the vibe of what it's like to read a comic or to understand that character, or understand that franchise and replicate that. And that's something I've made comments for with Spider-Man, because like to me, Spider-Man is like suffering. You know, Spider-Man. A big part of Spider-Man is learning that great power comes great responsibility. Right? Like, it sucks to say, but Spider-Man has to suffer a little bit to become the Spider-Man that I like. You know, to become this like selfless, caring person who does the right thing because he's the one who can is really important to me. And I did not feel like the MCU movies nailed that until the last one, when they course corrected. And this is, I'm not going to spoil it if you haven't seen it yet, to make Spider-Man the Spider-Man that I care about. Booger. What's the matter, kid? I guess he doesn't like Spider-Man. And that's something that I feel is interesting. I never had a word for it, right? I never had a word for like the vibe I get when I read a Spider-Man comic or watch a Spider-Man story. But the best way to adapt it is to understand those core features. That's why I like the Spider-Man game so much, because it nailed all those aspects of Spider-Man. I think it's important to a Spider-Man story in that game. It has the Spider-Man experience translated to a game. I just didn't have a word for it yet. Now I know the word's qualia. And that's something I think is super fascinating. At least to me, I think it's fascinating. Yeah, I think we got all the traction we're going to get out of this discussion, though.
Yeah, because that's the big thing. It is subjective for me. When I watch a thing based on a thing, or like, I don't get what I feel from video games from anything but a video game. Me personally. Yeah. When I'm looking for in a video game, I only get from video games. And I don't like video games that don't give me that thing I'm looking for from a video game. If I play a video game and I get a movie, I don't like that game.
Right.
Basically, yeah. And when I watch a movie, I want a movie. I want like writing and story and like good acting and shit, cinematography.
And you can do that. Like, I don't want to sit here and say like movies should be games should be more like movies. What I am trying to say is like, what's the vibe you're trying to get with this property? And again, back to Spider-Man, right? Like, to me, Spider-Man is like, I made a lot of comments how the Spider-Man game like perfectly nails Spider-Man for me, and not just like, you know, feeling like Spider-Man, but what goes into like a Spider-Man like story, what goes into a Spider-Man like the mythos. And I made comments that like the game understands that, right? Like there's a mission in the game where you get evicted from your apartment and you got to like figure out where all your shit went. Like that is like peak Spider-Man like fiction. When you're fighting Doc Ock at the end of Spider-Man, and you know Spider-Man's face is all fucked up so you could see him, so it's not a fight between Doc Ock and Spider-Man anymore. Now it's a fight between Peter and Octavius. And Octavius says to him, like, you look tired, Peter. And he's like, I'm not tired, I'm just hurt. And he gets right the fuck back up. I was like, that's fucking Spider-Man. That's peak Spider-Man to me. And you play through that. Like, you're fucked up. It's a QuickTime event, which is kind of shitty, but I forgive it because it nails what I like about Spider-Man so much, is that he can get his ass kicked, but he gets right back up, does the right thing because he knows he's the only one who can do it. And that's something I love about Spider-Man. And it nailed that in that game.
Yeah,
while also being a great game, right? While also being a great game, right? Like the gameplay is fun. It's fun to play. Graphically, it's really impressive. It understands like what it means to be a good game, but it also understands what it means to adapt Spider-Man to a game. And I love that.
Maybe I just have this disconnect because I don't, when I see shit like that, I just attribute it to, yeah, this is Spider-Man. This is what Spider-Man's supposed to be. He's supposed to be this guy. He doesn't want to show that he's hurt. He's supposed to be strong. He's supposed to be this icon for people. And that's what I feel like. If the writer is writing a Spider-Man thing, if he was not that, then he fucked up Spider-Man. I don't try to attribute it to. I don't try to attribute it to something else that, like, oh yeah, the quality of Spider-Man is. I mean, I don't know. For me, it's just simple. For me, it's more simple than that. It's, hey, this is Spider-Man. Here's how Spider-Man behaves. So
Yeah, but it gets that vibe, right, of like a Spider-Man like story here. Like that's the vibe I get when like I read a Spider-Man comic or I watch a Spider-Man movie. Is like those beats that I want to see them hit. I want to understand like when I go into it, I feel it. And again, being a game is important too. Like that's why I commented like it does game shit right. Like it feels good to play. The combat is fun. The graphics are great. On top of being a good story, if they did the Telltale thing, if they told me the exact same story, but they told it like the Telltale gameplay, I would not have been as interested in that because I want to play a game to play a game. As much as I like the Telltale stuff, if they had just adapted that into like a movie or a TV show, I would have been less interested in it. But it's the fact that I get to play through it, right? I get to be Spider-Man at that point. And I know it's a meme now. The game makes you feel like Spider-Man, but it does because it doesn't just adapt the fun web swinging, the cool combat, but it takes that time to make those missions where you're like, again, I just got evicted from my apartment. I got to swing across town and find out where all my shit got sent to. Or I have that last boss fight and my character's all fucked up. It's a quick time event section. Yeah, but that's because like I'm so limited in my action because I got so fucked up in the fight. Like that's something that's like neat to me. That's like exclusive to games, and it adapts that into a video game. You know, something I love about this character that I know this character can do, that I know is important to a Spider-Man representation, gets adapted into a game. So it's more than just a Spider-Man game for me. It's like the Spider-Man game, to me at least. And I never had a word for it to describe like what is this feeling I get when I play through it. You know, and I'll dig into it like, oh, the game makes me feel like Spider-Man. That's why I like it. But now I know it's because it adapts that quality of Spider-Man is why I like it so much. I just didn't know it at the time. So I understand like this guy's video has like a couple frictional points, right? Where you could argue like he's overthinking it, he's picking and choosing stuff. But it's that subjective nature of quality, I think, that makes that so prevalent in that video. Because people are going to have different interpretations of like what it means to play Fallout, like what they want to play Fallout for, what they want to watch a Spider-Man movie for, play a Spider-Man game for. But going into the property with how you described it is like, you know, with a certain level of care, I think is important. Of course it is, but I think it's important because whether you know it or not, you adapt the quality of that property into that adaptation. Whether you know it or not, it's going to happen. If you really care about it, I think it happens. Now, whether you go into it intentionally or not, it's irrelevant. If people come out of your Spider-Man movie like, oh, that felt like a Spider-Man movie, like I felt like that could have been a good Spider-Man comic, you did your job. If you go into a Spider-Man game and you walk out and you finish it like, this could have made a great Spider-Man comic, or I felt like I was Spider-Man, you're doing your job. And I think like, whether you know it or not, adapting the quality of it is a huge part of that.
Yeah. I think he's also just using the wrong I think he's like making the wrong, I don't know if he's making the wrong connections or because the quality of like Spider-Man is different than the quality of video game.
Yeah.
You know, like they're separate things. So when I think of quality of video game, I'm not necessarily thinking like Fallout specifically. I'm thinking just like more micro scale. Like this is like what does it feel like video game wise? Because Fallout wise is a much wider thing that you can pull from. But video game wise, I'm looking for something specific.
Yeah, and
or
I
like,
see the argument there. Like I went into like a tangent, like speaking of the greater quality of like a property in general. But
yeah,
you're right. Like it is important to understand like you can't adapt a video game to a movie one to one.
because yeah, if he's talking about just Fallout, I I'll give him that, but also he's still like I still feel like he's just picking and choosing just what he likes about it. But
Yeah.
yeah, but like as a like video game specifically, I don't think there's anything like I just don't get that. I don't get video game vibes from anything but a
Yeah.
good video game. Like Death Stranding, the parts that make that a video game, you could not like even though it's a very cinematic game, the parts where it's a video game, you could never translate that into anything. You can make a Death Stranding movie easily. It's already a movie,
Yeah.
but the parts that make it a video game, the parts where you're playing it, just will never translate. It will never translate.
Yeah.
And like that's more what I'm like. I don't know. That's more what I'm
Yeah.
talking about.
No,
But
and that's fair. Like there's a lot of like how can I word it? There's a lot of holes in the dialogue there, right? Of adapting a video game to a movie. And I think that's where I might have lost you a bit because I'm looking at the greater scale, not just a video game, but like the quality of the property,
yeah,
which is where I'm more focused on. But no, you're right. Like, it's there's no way to translate the game stuff to something that's not a game. You can make the argument, you can get the quality of it as much as you want, but you're not gonna get the same feeling watching a Death Stranding adaptation as you are playing Death Stranding.
yeah.
And that's perfectly understandable. Bud, what is wrong? I'm just changing his diaper and he's losing his shit on me. Yeah, this is a good discussion. I like this. I'm glad we talked about this.
Yeah, it's a good
And
video.
anyone-
It's a the video.
Yeah, it's a great video.
Sparks a lot of thought. I was thinking about this for a while. Like, yeah, why?
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking about it for a long time too, and that's why, like, as soon as I finished it, I was like, I gotta share this. Like, I love this video.
Yeah, it's just it was when he was like, yeah, but these ones don't really do it, but Fallout does, and I'm like, okay, hold on. Like that Mario movie was great for how much story Mario doesn't have. They really pulled it out on that. Like it was like more than references too. Like they brought up like Donkey Kong was a villain, which was in classic like before Mario was even Mario. You know, in the original Donkey Kong, he used to be the villain. So it was just like
Yeah, that's something I didn't agree with. Like, I wish they elaborated more on that. It was like,
Yeah.
okay, what do you mean? Like,
Yeah.
I thought it was great. And he makes the argument. He's like, just because it's not a good adaptation doesn't mean it's not a good movie. And I was like, well, I'll argue like the Mario movie was both of those things.
Yeah.
Like, it was a good adaptation of the Mario property, and it was a good movie.
And then there's stuff
Because of
like
the
you
things you
know
listed.
Edge Runners and Arcane, like shit like that, where it's just like it's not trying to invoke the video game at all. It's like just its own thing, and it's still good based on its own merits, just because it's good film or good anime or good like you know. So I there's parts of this where I entirely disagree, where it has nothing to do with there's nothing to do with how it makes you feel playing the video game. It's like just it's good. People understand the medium and they translate it well to a different medium. And
Yeah.
it's like to me that's all it is.
Yeah, I'll give you that. Like, there's a lot in there like I didn't agree with, but I like the direction he was going in. Like this idea of Qualia and using that to help adapt something was really fascinating to me. Good video, good discussion, fun discussion. Oh God, we talked about that for like an hour. Okay, so next discussion topic. Why the fuck are people so upset at paid mods?
Yeah. So Starfield.
There's a lot of reasons to criticize Starfield, but paid mods is like low on my priority list for like bitches and moans, but whatever.
Well, I don't want to sway your opinion on this just because you know that I am against the outrage here, but
Okay.
I'm against the outrage here because it's sort of disappointing in a way that um, for a games as moddable and as user created friendly as these Bethesda games are, it's a little disappointing that when people they put a lot of work into these mods, most of them released for free, and a lot of these creators just really don't get anything out of it other than, oh yeah, kudos to you, that was a great mod, or they don't really get anything out of it monetarily wise. So
Yeah.
when Bethesda tries to champion, like, hey, you guys can put stuff on our platform and you can make money for the work you've been doing, it's a little disappointing that people are just so fervently against this shit that's completely fucking optional.
Yeah.
That they will go ahead and just review bomb the game and just be completely outraged by this shit. It is disappointing, especially as someone who's created fucking Skyrim mods and put them out for free. Not only do I put them out for free, but I put them out with completely open permit. Dude, the Starfield, the Bethesda modding community is dog shit. There's so many egos. Like, everyone gets egotistical about their mods. They'll put a mod out and go, hey, I'm gonna put this mod out, but you're not allowed to touch it. You can't modify it. You're not allowed to rename it. You can't re-upload it anywhere. You can't share it. Don't do shit with my mod that I'm putting out. And it's just people, they get so precious about their fucking thing that you can just
Which is interesting to me is like, hey, this thing I made for a property I don't own is my property, and you can't do anything to it.
Especially since I can just load up the creation kit and remake it, and it just be there's nothing about your thing that makes it unique. Because you're using third-party tools to make it in the first place. So I just don't understand. And if you look at, like, stark contrast, the Minecraft community is the complete fucking opposite. Like, Minecraft probably has, it's just me speculating, it probably has the second largest modding community after the Bethesda. I'm putting all the Bethesda shit together. So, like,
oh yeah,
Skyrim, Fallout, I'll put all that together.
I was gonna say all of Bethesda maybe, but if we're talking single property like Minecraft, like on its own, it's gonna blow everything else out. But
yeah,
Bethesda, like the whole Bethesda like ecosystem, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, Minecraft probably has the second largest modding community, and they're the complete opposite of the Bethesda shit. Like, their shit is very paid. There are people making millions. There are people literally making millions of dollars selling Minecraft mods on their Patreon, and people do have issue with that, but it's nowhere near the fucking attitude that people have against, like, the Bethesda shit. And again, it's completely fucking optional. Like, if someone decides to sell their mod, you have the decision to not pay for it. You know, you have the decision to maybe just go to, like, an alternative. Like, if someone made a gun mod, there's 1,000 other gun mods that you can get for free if someone wants to sell theirs. I just don't understand why people just can't allow people to just make money off the work they're doing.
Exactly, and that's what it comes down to. I agree with you. And there's like, at what point do we stop saying this is a modder and that's a developer, and they can start getting paid for it? Like, what's the line there?
Yeah.
Like, what's the line for that? And I don't think anyone can answer that. And it's because people don't want to pay for something that was free before. Like, I understand, but if you put work into something, you should get paid for it.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to.
And also, the free shit is not going away. You have the option to not buy the thing if you don't want to.
Exactly.
It's like they're not trying to. Like, I just don't understand why people are so upset about this. Just don't buy it, fuckers. Um, like if Fallout, the Fallout London came out, you know, like, hey guys, we decided we're gonna have to charge you $3.50. It's about $3.50 for the Fallout London, but you get it's a whole experience. So it's $3.50. So people will be fucking outraged at $3.50.
Yeah, which is insane to me. Like, and that's something that drives me crazy. Is like this entitlement that like, no, I should get your work for free. Because back in the day, you know, early modding scene, there wasn't really a way to monetize, you know, your mod, at least not legally.
Yeah.
And now that there is a way to do it, I think it would be nice to see these modders get paid for the work they're putting in.
Yeah.
You know,
and so like there's some very well-respected modders that have entered the creation curators program and have put their mods up there for sale.
Yeah.
And they're getting such huge backlash, and it's just so disappointing because again, they're like highly respected modders. There's people. The guy that created Sim Settlements, so like it's like basically The Sims or Fallout 4. He's got like one paid mod up there, and people are fucking the vitriol towards it is just it's outrageous, man. It's outrageous. Yeah, it's disappointing. I don't really have more to say than that. I'm disappointed.
I get it, and that's something that like I agree is disappointing because like here's Bethesda doing something right? Like, hey, we're gonna find a way to make sure our modders get paid. You know, the people, who people have argued is the lifeblood of like the Bethesda community, right? Like the modders and the mods that surround them.
Yeah.
Like that's why Skyrim was as popular as it was, because of all the mods. And here's Bethesda, like, hey, we're gonna find a way to so these people can get compensated for the work they're doing for our game and for our community, and people are like, no, fuck you.
Yeah. Yeah, especially since giving them money allows them to continue doing the thing that they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, wouldn't it be great to just make mods full time?
Exactly, and we can get these big mods like Fallout London coming out so much faster if everyone on that could be paid for it.
Yeah.
We can get better quality mods more quickly, and people are like, "No, fuck you! I want to pay money."
Yeah. So I would like to debate with someone who's against paid mods. I would like to see what the real arguments are, not just like fucking blind rage.
I don't think there is an argument. I think the argument is like, "Fuck you! It's always been free," and like that's the only argument that's really there.
And it's still free. That's the thing. The argument falls apart when you can still get free mods. There's some over here that you could pay for if you want, and if you don't want, well then don't pay for it.
Yeah.
End of argument. Anyway.
Yeah. Let's move on to some game releases. I'm pulling up right now. Sorry, my kid is like losing his shit. I don't know what his deal is right now. Okay. Xbox event was good. Yeah, it was alright.
The thing about the Xbox event, it was a good event. I just wanted to see them follow through on all the shit they showed.
Yeah. Shit.
What, did you die? What happened?
No, I dropped my son's bottle.
Oh.
Yeah, so I was like, shit. So like made a little mess and I cleaned it up. Yeah, they announced a couple things. I think like the new Call of Duty getting announced. No, that was like the Activision event.
I mean, it was both. It was both of them.
Yeah, it was both. Yeah, the new Call of Duty like coming day one to Game Pass is really cool.
Yeah.
We got some Fallout stuff being announced. Fallout 76 is introducing a new expansion and a playable ghoul race, so that's cool. That's about the highlights that I could remember. There were a couple cool games getting announced from the Game Pass. But
Perfect Dark,
yeah, that looked good. Perfect Dark looked really good.
Yeah, Gears,
People were like pissed off about it. I'm like, why?
Fable.
That's like the best direction they could have taken Perfect Dark in.
Who's pissed about that? I think they're pissed because what they showed didn't look like actual gameplay. It
I
kind of
saw
looked like.
some comments on YouTube. Oh my god, kid, stop. I saw some comments on YouTube where people were like, "This isn't Perfect Dark," and I was like, "No, because Perfect Dark's an outdated piece of shit, so I don't want to
Yeah,
play that in 2024."
they put that on the Nintendo. That is online on Nintendo
Yeah,
on the Nintendo thing.
yeah, and it's been available on Xbox forever. And if you want to play that, go play that. But I'm not going to play that in 2024. I tried to play it. It's dog shit because I didn't fucking grow up with it. And I played through the last like 20 years of like game progress. Can I appreciate what it did? Yeah, absolutely. I can appreciate what it did. You know, for modern shooters that still only use like one stick to control everything. But
Yeah. I wonder how that N64 one works.
yeah, and it feels like I played it on Xbox and it feels like shit still. I could see the appeal of it. I could definitely understand like the impact it had at its time. No, it still plays like shit, dude. No, it's not. No, it's not. Even the most like mid-tier like C-grade shooter feels better to play than like Perfect Dark in 2024. That is a hill I'm ready to die on. You can etch that shit on my fucking tombstone.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up with that game, so I'm a little more
I did not.
acclimated.
I did not. So I can be a little bit more like subjective.
Yeah.
And my subjective opinion is that it's kind of shitty to play now. Again, I understand what it did for shooters as a whole, right? I love the non-linearity of the missions. And I love that it was kind of going for like an open-ended exploration-based design, which is something I love to see, which is why I thought this like immersive sim thing that they're doing for the new Perfect Dark is like a perfect like next evolution of that.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to sit here and pretend like, oh, I'd play that over literally anything else that's come out in the last 10 years. That's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, but it was that, it was Doom, it was Fable, it was Gears. They had a lot of shit they showed. It was like South of Midnight, like everything they showed was like, holy shit, this might actually be good, but you guys have like fumbled. You have a lot of good showings, and then when it comes down to it, you fumble the fucking at the last mile.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping they're doing. I hope they do all right, man. That stuff looks good.
Yeah, me too. I hope they do all right. I hope what we get is like of good quality, and I hope that the developers behind these studios don't get shut down. But yeah, no, the Doom looks really good. But I'm a Doom slut, so I
Even
would say that.
Call of Duty on Game Pass, I will play it for the first time in years.
Yeah, this will be the first Call of Duty I play day one in like 10 years.
Yeah.
Fun fact: the last Call of Duty game I bought day one was Ghost.
Wow.
Which is banger. Like, which you're like, most people are like, ew, why? Because some girl I was trying to like spit some game at told me to pick it up and we'll play together, and so I did, and we did, and it was not worth it.
I bought Vanguard.
But even then, gun to my head, I would rather play an afternoon playing Ghost than an afternoon playing fucking Perfect Dark.
I bought Vanguard on BattleNet and tried to launch it and it never worked. So I never played it. I still have it. I should see if it works now.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. I only got it because what's her face? Laura Bailey was the main character. I was like, I love her. I got to play it.
Laura Bailey's the main character in Vanguard?
Yeah.
Damn, I love Laura Bailey.
Yeah, exactly.
That's funny. And you couldn't even launch it. That's funny.
Yeah.
Kids are laughing at my joke. What's so funny, Booger? Perfect timing there. We got some releases coming out, man. I'm excited. We got Dice Folk dropping on Switch. Ever After Falls, launching on everything: PC, Switch, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and Series X. Mushoku Tensei Jobless Reincarnation Quest of Memories. Long fucking name. Must be an anime game. Releasing on PC, Switch, PS4, and PS5. I never played. I never watched that show, so I don't know if it's any good or not.
This is a show?
Yeah, right. Jobless Reincarnation. It's like a show. This is a game based on it.
You know more about it than I do. I've never
I've heard the name. I've heard the name get dropped before on like anime YouTube and stuff. It's so YouTube. Yeah, YouTube keeps recommending like anime stuff to me, like anime YouTubers. And I'm like, I don't watch enough anime to like justify like getting this recommendation. I don't know why. What happened
VTuber, there? This lady has 3 tits.
Wait, what?
This lady has 3 tits in the trailer.
I cannot see anything.
Oh,
on my phone.
Yeah, I
that should be like the
trailer. She has 3 tits. I don't know.
That should be the fucking goddamn, the title card for the episode is those 3 tits.
The thumbnail.
The thumbnail. There you go. That's a title card like an actual fucking TV show.
Are they recommending like VTubers?
Oh, there's a 3-tit lady. Okay, that's weird.
Because I get recommended like random ass VTubers.
I think it's doing something for me. I say that like knowing like Total Recall didn't just like fuck up like my entire mentality when it comes to like I don't know. I was making a joke with that, but I didn't know where to stick it, so I was going somewhere with that. Like I couldn't quite take it home, so yeah, let's ignore that. The joke didn't work.
Rusted Moss.
Rusted Moss looks good.
This is
Stars of Mars look good. Those are both dropping on a PC and Switch.
Rusted Moss looks like
dropping on a PS5 and Series X.
It looks like a
June 21st, we got Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree dropping on PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and Series X.
Oh, you can't hear me.
That's a lot of attention for that. A lot of people are really excited for that. And I still haven't even played the first one. Or I still haven't played the base game. You played a bit of Elden Ring, right?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
I cannot hear you. I don't know if my shit's like fucked up, but I can't hear you.
Yeah, I think you fucked up.
Okay, there we go. I'm here now.
Okay.
I don't know what happened there, but I could not hear a fucking thing you were saying.
Yeah, the thing about Shadow of the Erdtree, yeah, I played Elden Ring. I didn't like it. I'm gonna try to get back into it. It's just I don't know. It wasn't hitting for me the same way it was hitting for everyone else. But Shadow of the Erdtree, the only thing I know about it is that 90% of people are not gonna be able to play it because you have to like beat one of the hardest bosses to even unlock the DLC. So, and going by like I think people like scanned achievements, and it was like 80% of people haven't beaten that boss or don't have the achievement for that boss to even unlock the DLC. So,
oh no.
Yeah. So I don't know.
That's so funny. That's so funny. I think Dark Souls did the same thing, right? Like its first like DLC expansion.
Yeah.
Like you had to beat like a really tough boss, but like in a very specific way. You had to do like a bunch of stuff leading up to it. So if you already beat the boss, like you couldn't do the DLC.
But apparently this DLC is the size of an entire game. It's like that big of a DLC, so basically an expansion. So it's reviewing very well. The only other DLC I've seen review like this has been The Witcher, Blood and Wine.
Oh yeah.
Like they treat those as and it like won awards, and like they treat it as if it is a full game on its own. So that's how they're treating this.
Well, that's how it used to be back in the day, right? Like expansions were like, if you got an expansion for like Doom, it was basically like Doom 1.5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
like, here's like borderline like a sequel to our game.
Yeah. So I want to try to get back into it, but I hated every moment. Not every moment, but I just felt like I wasn't getting anywhere. So
yeah, I want to get into it, but like these types of games are tricky with me. Like I either love them or I hate them. I don't have it in between.
Yeah.
I'll pick up Elden Ring eventually. Times and Galaxy is dropping on PC, Switch, PS5, Xbox One, and Series X. You can check that out when it drops on June 21st. June 22nd, we got Elder Scrolls Online Gold Road. Is that a new expansion for Elder Scrolls Online?
Yeah. I've played Elder Scrolls Online a little bit. It's okay. I mean, it doesn't really do what I want out of Elder Scrolls, which is kind of the thing. But the cool thing about its DLC is you can buy any of the DLC and then play it at any point. So any of the DLC, you can just be like, hey, I just want to take me to Hammerfell. I'll do the Hammerfell DLC, or so it's kind of open like that. So that's cool. Opposite of
really
Elden
cool.
Ring.
Yeah. Hold on one second. Okay,
Tuesday.
sorry about that. My kid just fell asleep, so I had to carry him to his crib.
Yeah. Yeah, I know you were talking lightly, so I was like, oh, you must be sleeping.
Yeah, he just fell asleep when we were talking about Elden Ring, and I was like, ooh, I'm gonna put you to bed now. Where was I? Right, so Tuesday we got Frog Gun Encore. I don't know what that is, but it sounds like a fucking awesome name.
I thought this was
guns,
in my wish list. It's like a 3D platformer, inspired by like N64. It's got that.
I fucking love it. I love it so much.
Oh, it's got co-op too. Wow.
I like
this looks great. It's a remake of this game came out already, but I guess they're like remaking and updating it. So
that's dope. That's really dope. Yeah, I'm into it. I fucks with this. I like this game a lot. That's on everything? Yeah, I'm gonna pick that up. We got Graven coming out on PS5 and Xbox Series X. I don't know what Graven is. What is that?
It's a boomer shooter. It's on Steam and it's very negative on Steam right now.
Fun.
This was in my wish list. What's wrong with it?
I've been getting a lot of these lately, so I'm sure it's like oversaturation. Or maybe it's just dog shit. I don't know.
Oh, the people were hoping it was like Heretic and Hexen, but they're saying it's not. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well,
incredible art, horrible game. Unfinished mess. Oof.
Okay, so that's the issue. Then it's just like buggy and shitty.
Yeah.
That's a bummer. It looked really cool. What else we got? We got Riven dropping on PC.
Riven's the sequel to whatchamacallit? Myst.
I was gonna say this looks like Myst.
Yeah.
So it's not a spiritual success. It's a full sequel.
Yeah.
That's good.
I believe this is.
I say that. I never played Myst, but.
Yeah. Oh, it's got VR mode too. That's cool.
So that is cool.
One of my favorite YouTubers, my favorite YouTuber, Richard Pumpaloaf, has a video about the original Xbox version of Myst, and you should check it out because it's very, it's very good and funny, and yeah.
I'm checking it out right now.
Yeah, he has a lot of videos. He has a lot of reviews, but he's a very non-traditional reviewer. Like he points his camera at the screen because it's the way that you get the best representation of what it looks like. And then
I would argue that's not the case, but okay.
You can catch his. You can like he still has his like recorder, his voice recording on the camera mic, so you can hear him screaming at the game when he gets pissed off. He's like, "Oh fuck." You can hear that in the background, but he's also doing voiceovers. So, like, you can hear him raging at the game in the background while he's doing his voiceover, talking about the game. It's fucking hilarious. And then he has like this kid. He lives in New York. I'll put a link.
Cool.
He lives in New York City in like an apartment, and he always talks about there's a kid upstairs that gets yelled at all the time, and you could fucking hear him. It's so fucking funny. It's like I don't know if he's like doing a character. It's very good if he is, but like you can hear the kid upstairs. It makes you watch all of his videos just to see what happens with this fucking kid. Because like his dad yells at him. He's like, "God damn it!" And it's like so fucking hilarious. Anyway, he has game reviews, but he'll just like in the middle of them, he'll fucking interject with fucking "God damn it!" And it's just fucking hilarious. Anyway, I'll put the link in Discord.
Yeah, I'll check it out. Yeah, I appreciate it. I'll check it out. Like I'll check it out after the show. We also got Super Monkey Ball Banana Rumble dropping on Switch. This isn't a remake or anything of like another Super Monkey Ball game. It's a totally new game, right?
Yeah, I think this is new. I don't know much about it. I think it's like a party game. 16 players online. And a new adventure mode.
My wife and her family are fucking Monkey Ball fiends, dude.
Really?
Like, all of them fucking Monkey Ball fiends.
How does that happen?
I guess they had Monkey Ball growing up, so they played it a lot.
Super Monkey Ball was one of the first. When I got a GameCube, it was one of the first games that I got, and not knowing what it was. It was like that and Phantasy Star Online, just because it looked cool. And they were like in the discount aisle, and I was like, "Oh, I need a game."
Yeah, with them, I guess like they had it and they played it a lot growing up, and so like these modern remasters of Monkey Ball, they're just like fucking fiends, dude. It's crazy.
Yeah, this looks like it'll be fun. It's got 4-player co-op, split screen, adventure, battle modes.
I am not going to tell my in-laws this exists, because it's just going to be like weekends of me getting my ass kicked in this.
Yeah, did you see? They also announced that Mario Party. There's a new Mario Party coming to a Switch. It's got like 20 player, like 40 player online or some shit like that.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't hear about that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty neat. You know what? If any game got like the Battle Royale formula, Mario Party, I think, would be the best way to do it.
Yeah, you just like play the mini games, and whoever lasts the longest wins.
Yeah. Like every mini game you knock out like the bottom, like, I don't know, 10% of players or something. You could, if you do super well, you could earn like a star maybe. I don't know. Figure something out. But I think like Mario Party, there's a way to make a fun Battle Royale Mario Party.
Yeah.
Someone get on that. Next game we got Until Then, releasing on PC and PS5. This looks like a point-and-click adventure game. Visual novel with pixel graphics.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Cool.
Yeah, looks cool. Not quite my cup of tea, but it's cool. I can dig it. And that's going to do it for the show, everybody. Thank you so much for joining in and putting up with me while I tried to be a dad while I was trying to do this show.
Yeah, it ain't easy.
It's not easy. It's not. I made the joke before, but being a dad is like the most rewarding and the hardest thing I think I've ever done in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah. People don't talk about that, like the hard stuff. like people make jokes about it, but like, you know, no one actually seriously talks about like how hard it is on being a parent.
I think it's the opposite. Everyone talks about how hard it is, but no one talks about how rewarding it is.
No, it's been the opposite for me, at least from what I've seen. Like, yeah. But no, I like it. Like, it's very rewarding. It is so fucking cool looking at somebody who like half looks like me, half looks like the love of my life, and watching them turn into like a person. Like we made a person.
Yeah.
Like 2 years ago, he didn't exist. Now he's got like a social security number, and he's in the system. Like he exists, and he's like starting to develop like his own interests already, which is like super cool. Like he's got a preference for like food and music. Like my mother-in-law plays a lot of old school hip hop for him. So right now his favorite song is Wild Wild West by Cool Mo D.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is he
So we
a
walk up to. Huh?
my brother fucked up and his daughter is a Sonic fan. So
Oh shit.
like hardcore. She's like 5 or 6 now, and she's like super into Sonic. So you can
Oh
tell
no.
yeah, it's bad.
Yeah, is it like really really bad? Like.
Oh yeah, like she's got like dolls, and she takes it everywhere, and yeah, she thinks Sonic's like a real character.
Oh no.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, if he's not careful, she's gonna be like the concerning part of the fandom if he's not careful.
Be make writing fanfics, yeah.
Yeah. He's gonna Google like Sonic fan fiction. She's like, "Oh, I have a new fetish now." Like,
Put like
that's
your
how it
name, the
starts, man.
hedgehog, in Google.
Yeah. Oh man. Oh man, that's funny. Like, nothing like that bad yet.
Thank God.
He's not even 2, so he hasn't developed that yet. But he likes like Bluey. Like he loves Bluey.
Everyone
He like
loves
calls
Bluey.
Bluey by name. Yeah. I'm trying to get him into Star Wars, but he's kind of whatever with it. He's got Star Wars clothes and stuff. I don't think he like
Well,
recognizes
not
anything.
like modern Star Wars or you know they're making a 10. There's a X. I don't know if they are, but I heard rumblings of an X.
I don't know. Like I like Star Wars, the modern trilogy. I can complain about the modern trilogy for reasons people don't really talk about. Most people bitch about like, oh, the new Star Wars sucks, it's all woke. That's not what I'm complaining about. I'm complaining for something like a much deeper reason for not liking the new trilogy. But I don't have time to go into that right now. So funny story. Once like my buddy invited me to a Halloween party at the last minute, and I didn't have a costume. So I didn't have a costume. So I was like, okay, I threw on like a Star Wars shirt, and I was like, I'm a toxic Star Wars fan. And my friend was like, I don't think that's a costume. I was like, I'm gonna fuck what you think, you dumb girl. See, toxic Star Wars fan.
Yeah, I do have the jacket. I have like the Finn jacket.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
So like, what's funny, the reason I brought this story up is because my friends had to be funny to get me drunk and ask me, hey, so what'd you think of like Rise of Skywalker? So there's like a rant of me out there, like on the internet somewhere, me just drunkenly rambling about like Rise of Skywalker. It's really funny. I'll see if I can find it. But yeah, it's cool seeing him like develop like his own interests and like seeing him like learn things to care about. You know, his preferences in music and in food, and it's cool seeing him develop into like a cognizant like person. He recognizes me, you know, I come home from work, he like yells, "Daddy," and he like runs to me. It's like that stuff is like peak. But then like last night he was like kicking and screaming like every like 30 minutes. We have no idea why.
Are you
And
trying
every
to
other night he's
influence
got a bed
his
just fine.
some people try to live vicariously, they try to live their failed lives through their children. You know, like
Not
there's like
really.
dance moms and fucking
Yeah. Nothing like that, but I am gonna like correct some of my mistakes with him.
yeah.
In the sense that like, you know, growing up I didn't have a lot of interests, right? I didn't really get into like I didn't really discover my interests until like I want to say like middle of high school. And at that point, like I really started like caring about like I always played video games, right? Growing up, I didn't really like care about like talking about them or like what really goes into like a good game, why I like these games. I didn't really talk about them a lot. And it wasn't until like middle of high school when I really started like looking into that stuff and like really starting to care about that stuff. And also I started to discover what kind of music I like. I learned like I wanted to play guitar, and I kind of wish like my parents had like not pushed me but encouraged me to like find more interest outside of video games, or at least like if it's going to be video games, like a less consumer mindset for games, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so, and I wish like I want to do that for him. Like, hey, I want him to like get into something when he gets older, whether it's like sports or music. If it is video games, like I want him to like really think about like games that are just like absorbing them. Like I want to encourage that, like him to find his interests. I want him to be like me
I
and
think
like.
for me, because yeah, I was always into video games growing up, but I feel like family almost made me my family almost made me feel like it was like wrong, and not that they didn't like support, they knew I love video games, but they almost thought it was like too much, that which it might have been, admittedly, but I don't like, I just don't like, I like sports, and that I like to play sports, but I don't like the competitive nature of sports, like I like friendly, just fun playing. And
Yeah.
so like I don't want to be on a fucking team. I just want to just get some, get a group together and just play, just for fun, for funsies. So I
Yeah.
like, they would try to like get me like, oh, you're gonna join like the baseball team, and I hated it. But I like playing. I just hate the responsibility of being on a team. Like I think that's uh where like I fucked up, or like I don't know, my family fucked up. I don't say it was a fuck up, but it was just like pushing the
The
just
wrong
like,
aspect of it.
yeah, the fun is what's important, not the, like I just want to have fun. I don't want to be competitive at it or anything. um like I like sports in that I like to play, but I don't want to be, I don't want it to be my life. I don't want to go to practice and fucking have like a schedule and all this shit. I just want to have fun with it.
Yeah, exactly. And I want to do that too for my son because, like I said, I had the opposite of it. My parents never like really pushed me to do anything. So like I took like engineering classes in high school, and I was like, oh, maybe I want to be an engineer or like a graphic designer or something. I didn't really like find my own interest until like middle of high school, and
Yeah,
I want him to like learn like what makes him. I want him to discover like what makes him tick, what makes him happy, and focus on that. If it is like music, because he loves music right now, he's constantly like dancing and asking us to play songs for him. So if it is music, I want to be like, okay, let's teach you how to play an instrument, right? So you could like make your own music. Or
yeah,
if you like listening to it, like maybe discover like what it is about music you like and get you into a group where you can talk about music with people. I don't want him to just sit there and like absorb his hobbies and interests. I want him to do something not productive with it, but something. That's what I'm looking for.
yeah,
Something good with it. Something less passive, more active. Because that's the issue I had. Is I had a very passive way of like absorbing my own media and the things I was into, and it's because of the way I grew up. Like my dad liked video games; he got me into them. But for him, video games were like a way to cool down after work. When I think even early on, I knew video games were more than just that for me.
yeah.
So I wanted to like discover that on his own,
It's
or
different
help him discover it. Yeah.
these days. Everyone's on the internet, so anyone who has any interest in any niche thing, there's a community for it they can find on the internet.
Yeah.
Like, it's different now than when we were kids.
Yeah, and I wanted to find that. I wanted to find that niche, that thing that makes him happy, and explore that, explore his own interests. Like, I think too often in like media, not so much now, but when we were growing up, like guys who had like nerdy interests, like they're like a target of ridicule.
Yeah.
Like I remember I rewatched 40-Year-Old Virgin recently, and I was like, oh, their advice for him is to throw away all of his collectibles. Like that's really shitty. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I'm an adult now. I have my own collectibles in my office where I work for, and my wife is cool with it. Like, my son, he'll see it growing up. So I can kind of deprogram some of that like disgusting,
Yeah.
toxic mindset there
I mean,
that
I
your
don't do that
interests usually
shit,
be ashamed
but
of. Yeah. You have collectibles. I know you have like an MGS5 like
I mean, yeah, they
fan
don't
boss
put.
hand.
Yeah, I do. I don't know why you know that, or that was a good guess. But yeah, I do, and I have it.
I knew that 'cause you're showing it off.
Oh,
You
okay.
fucking bought it. You're like, look at this fucking cool ass thing I bought.
I have it doing the peace sign.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, no, yeah, I don't like collecting shit. Only when it's like very like only if it's like Metal Gear, Zelda, or like my top 5 games like Shadow of the Colossus, or you know, very few collectibles. I don't like holding on. I'm not like a sentimental person. I don't like clutter. I don't like just having shit around.
See, and that's fine, but what I'm trying to get to is that like the idea that people should be embarrassed by that stuff is like silly to me.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
that's what makes you happy. Like I remember like my cousin came over to visit me once. I was like in high school and I had some like collectible like figures and stuff in my room. And he was like, "Bro, how you bringing bitches over here? You got Goku on your nightstand." And I was like, "Motherfucker, you don't even know, dude. Like, don't even get me started on that shit, dude. Like these bitches you're talking about know who Goku is, motherfucker. Like, don't even
Bitches
start with
love,
that."
and that's why I always ask random people. I always ask them like, "What's your favorite anime?" And people, so a lot of people you wouldn't expect. Like people have answers to that question now. You know, it's like it's not out of the ordinary now to be into an anime and video games and shit.
Yeah, exactly. And like, there's like, that's what's so cool now. Like at the time, I was like in high school. This was like 2011, 2010, when anime was like starting to become mainstream. It was still this kind of like niche thing. And so for me to have like video game and anime like figures and posters and stuff up, he was like, "Man, what kind of bitches you bringing over here?" And I was like, "Man, don't even start with that. Like, come on. Like, you have no idea like who's been in this bed, dog. Like, don't even start with that." Like, there's been plenty. Like, I'm not gonna like sit here and brag like I was this like stud in high school, but no, there were women in that room, in that bed, and Goku watched. Like, don't even start with that shit, dog. Like, like if Goku could talk, he'd tell you some shit, dude. Don't even start with that shit. Like, well, like it's crazy to me, like that you know that attitude's changed a lot now, and I'm thankful for that.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful my son doesn't go through that. You know, whatever interests he's into, like I want to cultivate that and like let him know, like, hey, this is okay to be into this stuff. These are fun interests to have. If it's fun for you, that's great. Find more like-minded people who like this stuff. And I want to guide him through it, you know, because like I don't want to just give him unrestricted access to the internet and be like, hey, go find a group for like this thing you're into, because that could end horribly too.
Yeah.
But I want him to have like interests and things that he cares about. You know, I want him to find passions in his life and not have to be embarrassed by them like I was, or feel like he has to hide them like I was. But also like to push him to like recognize those things, not like, because like it took me a while to realize like for gaming to go from like, oh, this cool, this fun, this thing I do for fun as a hobby, you know, to be after school or something, or still free time, to like a passion. I would argue like gaming is a passion of mine. Talking about video games is a passion of mine. And I want him to discover that for himself, right? So like we'll see what happens when he gets older, man. But I'm excited and scared for this stuff. But it'll be cool to see. It'll be really cool to see.
All right.
Yeah, that's the cool shit about being a dad. That was a dad hour for everybody.
Dad hour.
Yeah. It's a fun show. I love doing this show.
Yeah.
Now that my kid's asleep, you want to fucking run some Diablo?
Yes. But first, we got to end the show, guys.
Yes. Yes, everybody. Go check us out. Tell people they can find us.
Go to Gameoverse.com, Gameoverse.com/Twitch, Gameoverse.com/YouTube, Gameoverse.com/Discord, Gameoverse.com/radio, the 24/7 radio.
24/7 Rick and Morty, 100 years.
Yeah. Yeah, Morty. It's new video games. Anyway,
Yeah, come check out the Discord and be safe.
Yeah.
Come check out the Discord, have fun with us, talk with us, be safe. That's with each other. Don't be a dick. And we'll see y'all next time.